didn't know better. Justin was doing it. Justin was his mid-20s and training with somebody stronger. I mean, this isn't PC, but he's like, man, you got retard strength. That's what he used to say. Even worse, bro. But that's being real. But I look at it now, strong. Like if I trained the way I did then, now I would probably be walking like Ronnie Coleman, just because it was so heavy and front squatting 500 pounds for reps at 19 years old, completely natural. And people were like, oh, this kid's juicing, he's going to be dead by 25. I was like, no, I'm not. Like, the internet loves to go ahead and figure everything out for you.
Oh, I love that. But so what would be in the feats back then? Because that's very impressive. Again, I'm taking myself back now. I'm having a lot of reminiscent moments here. I'm looking at this, and I was very, envious of your strength. I was never a strong bodybuilder at a young age. Legs, yes. Mm-hmm. But later on, but you were strong kind of in every body part. I remember seeing you doing shoulders with DC training, and you were throwing around some ungodly amount of weight pressing. And your pressings were strong as hell. What were you doing? It was
shoulders. My shoulders were so strong, and this was pre-internet, pre-social media. Yeah. I mean, internet was around, but it's pre-social media, not Instagram.
I seen it.
So I mean, it was on the bodybuilding channels. The muscular developments were posting it, and then you were able to kind of put it on the forums,
bodybuilding.com and stuff. Yeah, the forums.
All the forums were the big thing then.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're seeing guys. So many people got accused of fake weight. There was no fake weight back then, and I was doing 315, 405 on military press in my early 20s. I remember because the DC thing was 405 for 20 at the end of doing like a heavy squat, sets. And that was kind of the benchmark to hit. And then I remember Justin looking at me one day, he's like, we're going to go for 500 for 20. And I was like, that's a 100-pound jump. We're going, couldn't we maybe do 410 for 20? No, it was like, we're shooting for 500. So it was always a really good drive and push, but it drove me to be stronger. And I was athletic going into this, and I knew I enjoyed the training aspect, but I was just strong. It just came to me. Like, there are certain body types that do have advantages for strength and lifts. Mm-hmm. Somebody with long arms, short torso, they could deadlift a ton of weight, or their squat bodies, etc. I just moved the weight. I didn't think about it, and I just said, let's go.
You done your first show at 18, right?
Yeah.
And you won the teen and you won the open.
Won the teen and placed third in the open, and then did that 2 times in a row. Then went to teen nationals, and then won the teen nationals.
Won twice.
Yeah, just won the heavyweights twice.
Incredible. Who were you standing against back then? Anybody that was?
Yeah. Jason Huh was 1 year.
Oh wow,
he's a stud.
Yeah, he went on to do great things.
Trey Brewer was one.
Really?
He was a super that I beat 1 year. Yeah. Most of the other guys, didn't really. They kind of fizzled out, and most of the teen guys do, because they go so hard, so fast, so young that. They don't pace themselves. I always say bodybuilding is a marathon, not a sprint. So, I mean, you're a testimony to that.
We kind of preach to the choir these days, unfortunately. But what would be the advice, being on the shoes you're in right now, for somebody who wants to get into competing, and what would be the long game you would say to somebody that is just getting into the sport?
One, educate yourself. Find some people that are truly knowledgeable, that get information out there, or find a very knowledgeable, reputable coach. Mm-hmm. Somebody doesn't have a track record of hurting people. Somebody doesn't, that's known to. It's not a drug game, and everybody thinks it's a drug game.
Preach.
It's not a, hey, you do a gram of test, we do 2 grams. It's not that. That's not it. And you'd be surprised. Like, I tell people what I was taking toward the last few years, and they're like, "You're full of shit." I'm like, no, you don't need what you think these people are doing, and you only have to go up from there usually. So it's be smart with what you do. Find a good coach. Find a good mentor that you could train with. Set yourself up. Everybody's like, I hear a lot of these young guys coming out of high school or just getting into college, and that's kind of when I started in my career. They were very much, I'm going to quit everything I'm doing. I'm going all in on bodybuilding, and I'm going to. They think there's this 7-figure contract waiting for them. If you turn an IFBB pro, and that's not the case.
It isn't.
It's not. It sucks. I'm still waiting for that contract right now, but. Be smart. Get educated. If you like, for me, I pursued being a firefighter, paramedic for 10 years. Like, that's what I used to leverage my bodybuilding, to support my bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, quitting everything, and I'm just going to live in my mom's basement and kind of be a hermit, and kind of like the old animal ads. Like I always joke, like saying, my wife's giving birth, but I got to go get my arm workout in real quick. That's the old animal.
There is people like that too.
I know. So, set yourself up right. Like, be smart with it. Set a plan up. Too many people kind of going into things blindly.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of people talk about different things of different ways to set up plans. It's not about setting a 10-year plan up, but if you have a goal, say it's to become an IFBB pro, kind of back into that. What does it take? Set that parameter up. Say from where I'm at right now, where I want to be, and then start reverse engineering it and taking little bites each day, getting to that goal. And bodybuilding is just so much. What bodybuilding teaches is all about that consistency that everybody talks about. It's the discipline of the daily discipline. You become the master of the mundane. It's doing the same shit over and over and over and over. In other sports, you have seasons where it's 3 months, 6 months, and then they got 6 months off. In bodybuilding, it's 12 months a year of being on. Okay. You're eat, sleep, and breathing this sport, and it teaches you a lot about yourself. There's a lot of dark times. There's a lot of I hate life, and there's a lot of high times too. Like you look on your wall and you see these, the Sandows and the Olympia titles. You've reached the pinnacle, and you're one in 8.5 billion people in the world that could possibly say that. There's a handful of guys, obviously, but you're one of very few people that could say, I won a Sandow. And that's, when you think about it that way, that's a huge accomplishment. But okay, what do you do with that now? It's like, okay, you turn pro, you did everything, you did the right things to turn pro, and then you just continue resetting that goal every time.
Yeah. And for you, when you turned pro, were a goal of yours to be the top of the tree, or was there other goals that you were working on at the same time? Because you mentioned two things back then, and I just kind of going back on what you said. You were a firefighter paramedic. That was something that you started whilst you were bodybuilding. That was a career choice that was very hard for you to forego. That was something I know when you and I spoke over the years many times. You loved that. Yeah. You loved the camaraderie. You loved what you've done. You had the adrenaline from it. And this is words you've told me. How hard was it? Two-part question. How hard was it for you to leave that lifestyle that you always wanted to transition into, and also then, how did it benefit your bodybuilding career when you left the fire force?
Yep. It was not an easy decision, and I hated doing it, but my career was at a point where I was at the crossroad of, if I go all in on bodybuilding, is that going to be more fruitful if I do that than try to manage both? And my sleep is suffering, my recovery is suffering, my training suffering, my eating suffering, all those things, they start hindering in the long run. Right. There may be a day I missed this or that, but they start adding up over time. And I was at the point, I had already turned pro. I was competing for several years and as a pro and doing well, won some shows. But it came to a point where I was becoming more stressed trying to manage both ends of the stick here. I'm like fireside. I got a commitment there. If I commit to something, I'm all in. Yeah. And then I have the bodybuilding side, which is really growing, and I got some great sponsorships. You start making some good money. I'm not gonna say it's great money, but it's good money where I'm like, you know what, I made an educated decision that I was in a good enough position to say, I can let the fireside go, cut that salary out, and I can live off this and be all in on this, and let's see what we can do with this. And looking back at it, it is the right decision, 100%. I don't regret anything. But you lose, I'm still staying in touch with the guys. There's still that brotherhood there. And you miss that adrenaline and the excitement with it, but it was the right choice.
Thank you for watching this segment. Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. Help us by subscribing, leave a like, comment, or a positive review. Click this to see what YouTube recommends, and this to see the full interview. See you on the next one. Out.